Hey guys, welcome back to the next episode here on the Football Talk with Hawk podcast. Well, another week is in the books. All of the games are over. More quarterback injuries, some shockers over the weekend, and a lot of close games, and then one very, very dominant performance by the San Francisco 49ers. So let's open up with this. Regular show, have a podcast every single day. These are only designed to be 30, 45 minutes. So we're going to do kind of a rapid rundown of the games real fast. And then kind of talk about some aspects of what we saw on Sunday, clearly. So there were multiple games that kind of teetered on the aspect of boring, for lack of a better term. I really, really want to say something about that Patriot versus Charger game. That Patriot versus Charger game was bad. And I mean bad. Brandon Staley may have gotten a W. They scored 6 points against the Patriots. 6. I don't know how Brandon Staley keeps his job. I really don't. Another game, the Cardinals versus the Steelers. I did say in my pick video that they were a sneaky pick. We didn't know what Arizona really was. Kenny Pickett got injured. And the Cardinals come out with a 14-point victory in Pittsburgh. The Dolphins, I said, against the Commanders was a potential close sleeper game. I don't know why. I mean, it was... Ron Rivera needs to be fired. It was wet. Tua did not have a ton of juice on that ball. He did not. Those throws were lollipops. Tyreek Hill just ran by everybody. So I'm glad his cleats worked. But you watch that game, you watch the highlights, and you go, why, what are they? The defense was just outrageously suspect. Outrageously suspect. Let's go. The Buccaneers over the Panthers. Good job for the Panthers. 21-18 isn't a horrible way to lose. So kudos to them. Absolutely. The Falcons need a lot of credit. Now, yes, I know. It's Tim Boyle and the Jets. And they scored a safety to open the game. It's not the first one we've had this year. Safety to open the game, 2-0. Then 5-3. Just wild. The Atlanta Falcons, I thought on the road, even with Tim Boyle being the quarterback, would lose. Now, here's something we're going to see. The injuries to quarterbacks. Robert Saleh and the Jets are basically out of playoff contention now after that loss. They really don't have a legit shot. Aaron Rodgers isn't coming back this year. Honestly, I wouldn't even fret. If I'm Saleh, I would go have the talk with the front office now. Like, I'm planning on being here next year. Am I going to be here? I don't have Rodgers. Next year we'll have Rodgers. We playing for draft picks. What are we doing? Because we all know how things are. The players play. The coaches can coach a certain way to try to manipulate the game. If you don't believe that, just go back and watch. Excuse me. Go back and watch teams that have tanked, and then the next year in the playoffs, and you're like, "Hold it! What a miraculous turnaround!" We got one of them right now, and we're going to jump into that Colts versus Titans game here in a second, and then the Texans versus Broncos, Packers versus Chiefs. So the Falcons win, the Saints lose, which is a game I didn't think the Falcons were going to win. And now, even with that, have the inside track to win the NFC South. This win was actually huge for the Atlanta Falcons. Huge for the Atlanta Falcons. I don't know what the Panthers are going to be the rest of the way. Not even going to try to guess, so we're just going to leave that alone. The Browns lost, as we thought, to the Rams. Kyren Williams, oh my gosh, I love that guy. Him and Sean McVay's offense, he is a Christian McCaffrey. He is Sean McVay's Christian McCaffrey. Man. A healthy Rams team can beat anybody because their offense can score. If I'm the Detroit Lions, I'm really hoping that the Rams and us don't match. Because there's part of me that thinks that Stafford going to Detroit with Sean McVay, with a healthy wide receiving core and a healthy Kyren Williams against that secondary would be bad news for the Lions. Not even going to lie about it. I think it'd be a shootout. But it's really something to watch now. We did the entire playoff scenarios last week. Some of them, actually most of them are still in play. Everything that we had set up is really there, but a couple things switched, especially after the Bengals knocked off Jacksonville, which, let's be very honest, let's give Zach Taylor a lot of credit in Cincinnati. And then let's also understand what happened with Trevor Lawrence going out. It was, excuse me, you could tell it really hurt Jackson. And it hurt their shot at getting the number 1 seed. They got to beat Baltimore. They got to win out. They can still get there. They can still get there. They got to win out. And I believe the Chiefs have to lose again because the Chiefs have the head-to-head. Now, let's get to the Colts versus Titans. Yes, because I'm a Colts fan, I'm going to park here for a second. I am tired of seeing the weird votes for Shane Steichen as head coach of the year. Just no. Come on, give me a break. Easiest schedule. A team that basically tanked last year. And not necessarily tanked on purpose. DeForest Buckner has been very open about this. The guys just gave up. The guys just gave up. This team was a 6-8 win team without Shane Steichen. That defense, it's the Steelers. Like, this is the epitome of the Steelers. They're winning because their defense is that doggone strong. Their special teams bailed out their lackluster offense again. Special teams scoop and score off of a blocked punt and then a fumble recovery off of it wasn't a blocked punt, but it was a fumbled punt that injures the punter for the Titans. Now, I didn't like it. I really didn't like it. And do I think it should have been a penalty? No, that's not what I'm saying. But watching that play, I don't like it. You're not running through the guy. The guy is completely defenseless. Like, if they were to throw a flag, I wouldn't have actually complained. The guy's defenseless. He's not doing anything, and you took his leg. Like, you just ran straight through the guy, took his leg. You had a great run, but instead of going, after the ball, you just ran, and you ran through him. And I can already hear the guys going, yeah, but he's a football player. He's a football player in a vicarious position. And the only thing he has is that leg. It's the only thing that makes him money. Like, I didn't like how it was done. But the special teams and the defense stepped up. Will Levis showed the moxie. Will Levis showed that moxie, man. I love Levis. I absolutely love Levis. I wish we had Levis. Levis is not going to be injured. He's going to be the quarterback in Tennessee for a long time. That touchdown pass to DeAndre Hopkins was absolute money. When you're looking at the end zone angle of that pass, I mean, that thing is a screaming line drive. Whoever's receivers are, they better know how to catch. That's for sure, because they're going to have to use their hands. A couple of my friends text me after the game. They go, you're right, your boy, Alec Pierce. I go, yeah, it took him long enough to figure it out. Shane Steichen finally stops being stupid and starts playing the same personnel every game. And look what Pierce has done over the last 2 or 3 games. It's amazing. Let these guys get in rhythm. I do think the offensive play calling is getting smarter. I do not believe he's a good coach. I believe we're going to be in for an 8-10 win season again. Mediocrity. Jacksonville is definitely better than us. Texans have the better quarterback. And honestly, a more fired up coach, a more lively coach. No lie, more lively coach. I love DeMeco Ryans. You're going to be like, a lot of people are like, he's a defensive coach. You know what? He understands offense. He understands the need for offensive line. The offensive coordinator understands the need for it. I think they draft an offensive lineman in the draft. They protect C.J. Stroud. And it continues to grow and build and be strong. They may sign a couple. There's a couple players that I could see easily being like, yeah, I'll go play with Houston. C.J. Stroud got a chance to win every game. They beat the Broncos. They did their job. Russell Wilson had, 3 blunders. At the end of the day, you win the game. How you win the game doesn't always matter. You win the game. And it was a tough, gritty game against a potential playoff team. That's what the Broncos were heading into that day. Now, let's talk about the Chiefs and Packers. Wow. I thought it was going to cool off. But legitimately, the Packers come out so hot So, like, they've got the same issue in a sense as the Detroit Lions. Detroit Lions, first 3 drives, 21 points. Then they let teams back in. They don't necessarily always finish them off. You gotta finish them off. Detroit Lions yesterday, close win over the Saints, should not have been. Should not have been. Derek Carr is now getting booed off the field. Taysom Hill is getting cheered. They had nobody available. It was an unorthodox offense. The reality is you should have blown them out, and Detroit didn't. They had them, and then they let the Saints back in. It's the same thing. The Packers right now, their advantage is they jumped out so quick. 14-3 after 2 drives. I mean, that was huge. Yes, I know it's Patrick Mahomes, but you're only talking about the quarterback now. You're not talking about the team. Like, Patrick Mahomes, to me, is a lot less scary this year. I'll give him 13 seconds. I'll give him 20 seconds. I'll give him 30 seconds. These guys can't catch. They're not great. I'm going to cover Kelsey, and that's all I'm going to have to do. I don't see why anybody would not come out strong against the Chiefs. Just go at them. Go at them. Kudos to Matt LaFleur. He has shown he is the head coach. Aaron Rodgers was the problem. Cranky old man. It's reality. He gets his way in New York. Jets won't be good next year either. They'll be okay, but he's got a bunch of old men. They're going to get hurt. They're going to get injured. They play a lot. He's in trouble. Don't know why he went to New York, but nonetheless. Green Bay's got young guys. Colin Cowherd said it today on his show on Monday. They're all young. They're all learning. They're all together. They're all hanging out. This is different than Manning and Brady when they were in the league. Manning and Brady, that would have been interesting. Manning and Brady had their receivers in their hip pocket because they took care of them. They took their offensive linemen out to dinner. They supported the guys that were around them. These kids are a little bit differently nowadays. Just a little bit different. They're all hanging out. Dobbs, Reed, Wicks, Kraft, Musgrave, Watson, Emmanuel Wilson, who's on IR right now, Jordan Love. I think A.J. Dillon's going to be released. Aaron Jones is going to be around. I like Emmanuel Wilson as their second. Hopefully he can stay healthy because I think he's got a little bit of a burst that Dillon doesn't have. They're going to hang out together. They're going to be together. They're going to grow together. I really thought, I thought originally Detroit had this division locked up for the next 5-6 years. I don't know. Green Bay could easily be nipping at their heels maybe next year, but definitely the year after that. Could really be nipping at their heels. They already beat them in Detroit after Detroit walloped them in Green Bay. They're growing up. Huge shout out to Matt LaFleur and the Packers staff and what they've accomplished. And I have to tell you, I think they can get in the playoffs, and I think they can play the Lions. I don't like a third division game. I really don't. I think the Eagles got exposed, so I think there's potential for other teams to try to imitate. Whether or not it's going to work, I don't know. But like we said, I think Dallas beats Philadelphia. I don't think Philadelphia has the bounce back ability. They're not a rubber band right now. I don't think they have a bounce back ability. They're more like a crank. You're going to have to crank it back in and tighten everything back up. It's not just a rubber band. So look out for that game next week with the Cowboys. I ain't gonna lie. It's really going to be close. The Bills are at the Chiefs, coming off of a bye. Chiefs Sunday Night Football against Green Bay, lost, but it wasn't bad. So they're going to come home. I think they're going to try to come out strong. But if Buffalo's smart, Buffalo's looking at it going, okay, we're just going to come out and beat them up early. Get ahead. Get ahead. Take Pacheco out because, oh my gosh, Pacheco's amazing. I love Pacheco as a young running back. He's very good. But take him out of the game. If you take him out of the game, make Mahomes only drop back with the receiving core he has right now, you can beat him. And I think Buffalo will do so. I think Philly loses back-to-backs. The Chiefs lose back-to-backs. Baltimore and Miami are the ones at the top of the AFC. San Francisco takes over the top spot over in the NFC, with Detroit sitting right behind. It's going to be interesting. All right, so let's talk about what happened on Monday Night Football. I hope Trevor Lawrence is not out for a long time. I hope he's not out for 4 weeks. 2 weeks, I know is probably best case scenario. I don't like this. It was interesting that the left tackle that got absolutely bulldozed back in and stepped on Lawrence's foot got benched the rest of the game. That was interesting. Not going to lie. That was really interesting. But I don't know how to feel about everything going forward. I told you guys you could flip me on Cincinnati, Indianapolis next week. Not anymore. The Colts defense is slightly better than the Jacksonville defense on the front. And they get Grover Stewart back, which will be big. But those receivers against the Colts secondary, no. Will Levis found a lot of holes in that Colts secondary, running a lot of 2- and 3-man routes. The Bengals are going to run 4- and 5-man routes. Joe Mixon's going to catch screens. Tanner Hudson's going to catch passes for 4 yards. I still think Cincinnati's going to pull out the game over Indianapolis next week. But Cincinnati, Jake Browning, I remember him at Washington. He needs to be given a lot of credit. Monday Night Football. Big spot. Basically the season on the line because we all kind of rode off the Bengals because we thought they were going to lose this one to Jacksonville. The Colts one was, kind of flip-flopped. If this team believes This team believes, and their defense, if their defense believes, they could still pull something out here. His first start, he wasn't bad. Jake Browning is outrageously accurate, guys. Outrageously accurate. I am really anxious to see what happens next week back at home. Like I said, it was good. I mean, I've said this before. There's games I'm picking because of the weather I believe will be there. I've got Dallas beating Miami because I think Dallas, in a warm climate, sunny, whatever it may be, will beat Miami because there's not going to be any restrictions. Dallas in Buffalo, windy, cold, probably snow, forget about it. Weather plays a huge factor in what you think's going to happen because a lot of these teams are fair weather teams. The games are not even across the board. Philadelphia, Buffalo, Baltimore, tough weather. Green Bay, weather. Dallas, Miami, what's weather? It's sunny. It's 90 degrees in Dallas, and it's 90 degrees and humid in Miami. Toughness matters. San Francisco, to their credit, plays a huge brand of toughness, which is what makes them hard to beat. They play a brand of toughness. The playoff picture got really interesting after this last week's games. Next week's games are going to even put a bigger twist on it, especially if both Kansas City and Philadelphia lose. It really shakes things up. Really changes things. The Giants have a chance to beat the upstart Packers on Monday Night Football. Back-to-back primetime games for the upstart team. I like it. It's going to come down to what happens in the rubber matches like we talked about in the AFC preview. The rubber matches, team versus team. Cincinnati versus Indianapolis. Pittsburgh versus Indianapolis. Pittsburgh versus Cincinnati. Las Vegas is still there. The way that these rubber matches are going to line up, the Texans play the Colts. They just beat the Broncos. They're at the Jets next week. These rubber matches matter. Buffalo's got to play Miami again. I look at Miami and I see a lot of fool's gold, just like Philly. They can score more. And I think Ron Rivera is going to get fired anyway. But this afternoon, if you had to get a gut-wrenching pick of what's going to happen, I think the Packers and the Rams are the final two slots in the NFC. And I think the Falcons actually really have a legit shot here because of the injuries and because of the inner turmoil in New Orleans. I think there's a legit shot for the Falcons to win the South. And even bigger, Dennis Allen could get fired in New Orleans. And I'm going to stick with my, I got a couple different things we're going to do coaching-wise on tomorrow's video as we look at coaches a little bit deeper again. But Sean McDermott really could get fired. Yes, I know this is a hot take. Yes, I know. I'm aware it's the end of this video or the end of this podcast. And if you're still listening, hold on. I think Sean McDermott could get fired. If his defense loses to Kansas City, if Josh Allen gets them the lead 31-27, and you have to stop Mahomes from getting a touchdown, not a field goal. You have to hold them out of the end zone. And your defense can't do it again with the lackluster receiving corps that he has. It's not on Josh Allen. Josh Allen scored against the Broncos. Josh Allen scored against the Eagles. Josh Allen gave you the chance to win, and you couldn't stop him. Your defense has been lackluster, and you can't stop them. I know the injuries are there. Tre'Davious White, Matt Milano. So what? You don't always win with players. You win with schemes. The New England Patriots, their players ended up being overrated in Madden. Got signed to big contracts elsewhere and didn't do half as good as they did in New England. Why? The scheme. The scheme is what made them so good. Because the scheme was clear. It was crisp. It was precise. The reality is, the 49ers defense is really close to that. The Texan defense, watch what DeMeco Ryans does. This Texan defense, give him another draft pick. I hope they're able to make some moves to get some more draft picks, because I think it'd be very, very much worth it. I really like how he's built everything down there in Houston. The Colts, I think, are the same way. The offense is not going to get much better. Anthony Richardson's good. And yes, I like him. But the reality is, Steichen is going to get a lot of credit for the fact that he has got that team exactly where he needs the team to be for him to win. Because he's got a defensive coordinator that is so dialed in on his defense, understands his players so well. Gus Bradley, Dan Quinn. Oh my goodness, these guys are good. Those two gentlemen have their defenses locked down. And if Brandon Staley in Los Angeles wants to keep defending what he does, yeah, he just pitched a shutout. Your offense only scored 6 points in New England. Are you kidding me? There could be 9. And I think it could be 9 because of the fact that we've got this rookie class. We're going to talk about the transfer portal a little bit tomorrow as we talk about coaches and kind of what the landscape looks like. That'll be tomorrow's episode. But man, just the way that things play out, the way that football plays itself out is so fun. It is so good. And I tell you what, it's great to watch. Absolutely great to watch. All right, guys, that is going to do it for this episode. Like I said, I don't want to go on forever with these. That is the goal. So here we go. Closing it out. Final thoughts. Huge weekend. Playoff positioning changed, and a lot of teams gave themselves a shot to be able to get there at the end when it matters. And great for them. Absolutely great for them. I appreciate you guys stopping by. Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys on tomorrow's podcast. Until then, this is Football Talk with Hawk. Hawk out. Have a great afternoon.